Okay. Oh, that's right. Okay. Oh no, Itnamzand 02 was where I wanted to go. Okay. Oh, Xavier has arrived. Welcome. Give people a little extra time to make their way to the stream. We're doing another lore reading. Fully Notice here. Welcome. Okay. Let's see. Do I have the journals that I wanted to? Ignacia's journal. Arefal's journal. Okay. Okay, so it looks like we're ready to go. And so last time, this is the third time that I've done a Relics of Hyrule Storytime stream. and we've covered a fair bit of lore. Last time it was like the temples and it was Zelda. So this time I'm gonna open with journals from the major dungeons. There's also a little bit from Kinolangdanzel, so I'm gonna do it in a little bit of a strange order. But I'll start with Itnamzand and then go through the rest, Morwitijaal and Kinolangdanzel. And then when we have time, if we have time, I might do like Ganon stuff at the end. It's a little tantalizing thing for people to stick around for. So I'll start with Itnamzand, with Arefal's journal. So the idea with Arefal's journal is that Itnamzand, as you can see, is it's a dwarven ruin, and it's been kind of wrecked, and there's remnants of an adventuring party. There's one guy down here. Wherever he is. There's an orc floating in the water here, and I can't see him. He is not here. I know he exists because I put him here. But there's a bunch of different people some adventurers. Oh wait, no, is that him? That is just a floating warhammer. Okay. Never mind. But with Itnamzand, you arrive and you find a failed adventuring party. So I am going to read the lore of that failed adventuring party. And we'll see where we go from there. And of course, if anyone has any requests, if there's a lore book that you like, let me know. Or if there's a topic in the mod that you're curious about, let me know. But I will just start with Arefal's journal. So Arefal's journal, Volume 1. Scholar's Log, 4th of Frostfall, Skyrim, Winterhold. As the scholar of the party, or fifth wheel of the carriage, as my colleagues believe, I have been tasked with recording our findings in this excursion. The leader of our group is a Dwemer known as Sudin. I admittedly cannot ascertain their gender, as they wear full chitin plate. If she is female, she is fairly stocky, and if he is male, he is light-voiced and lithe. I dare not ask their sex out of fear of their anger, which is swift. Our party consisted of 6 before, but Sudin threw our archer overboard after he, the archer, questioned Sudin's motives for the adventure. Fun fact, you can actually meet that archer, Dlekjran. He is in the tavern on Solstheim, and you can recruit him. Sudin is a master of knives and carries several daggers on their person. I do not know how many they carry, but suffice to say they will never run out. We are also joined by Pandora, a Bosmer cleric and alchemist. She is fairly skilled with a blade and has some knowledge of traps and sneaking, but not much. She was hired to heal and provide other restoration services. Turul al-Borgul, an orc berserker who specializes in the use of warhammers, is, in my opinion, dead weight. He is slow, mentally and physically, and heavy. However, he is good friends with Sudin, and I suppose he will be helpful if we are faced with enemies just as large and stupid as he. I will admit his cooking is adequate. Zulema Etidama, an Altmer spellsword with hair black as the night sky, who insists on using a mace or morning star and specializes in shock magic. After this excursion is finished, I would like to stay on good terms with her and communicate regularly. When she was first recruited, I found her interesting, intelligent, and wise. We have little time for conversation, but the conversations I have had with her have been exceptional. Her presence keeps my morale high. We had an Argonian archer, but he was thrown overboard. I, Arefal Dlekjran, am a Dwemer scholar of alteration magic and the history of Skyrim and Morrowind. My knowledge of alteration has allowed me to protect these books from rot. I am unenthused with regards to this mission quest thing, but I need the money promised me, so I will do my best to please Sudin with the hope that extra gold will find its way into my pockets. If nothing else, I can sell some of the treasures Sudin has promised are inside. Perhaps I shall find useful spell tomes or long-forgotten books that will help my studies. Our quest, as Sudin refers to it, is to investigate the curious Dwemer ruin on the northwest coast of Solstheim. Several reports have said the ruin rose out of the sea. We are among the first to enter the ruin, assuming it did not rise before. I wonder if the same architects who built Nchardak were behind this. Entry will be difficult. We may have to dive. Which is true, because to get into Itnamzand, you have to dive. Fun fact, if you use the Eye of Truth spell in this dungeon, you can find the corpses of various folks. Or not the corpses, you can find the ghosts. There's another... you can find the corpses. So this is Zulema's corpse, that Altmare, the High Elf that I mentioned. She actually has a fairy letter, and she has a note, which I forgot to grab, so I'm going to grab that. But if you use the Lens of Truth, if I remember correctly, I thought I put someone up here, but I don't think you can actually see them. If you go way up to the top, I believe there's somebody up there. One of the ghosts. Itnamzand, fun fact. This is a hallway that was tipped sideways. Is she up here? There she is. So there's Pandora, the Bosmer. So if you use the Eye of Truth, right here, you'll find her ghost. So throughout the dungeon, there's various places that you can find ghosts. I swear I put the orc. I think the orc ghost is around here. Yeah, they never think they'll die. The adventurers are always very cocky. There he is. Yeah, so he's probably the hardest ghost to find. But if you use the Eye of Truth, you can see him. I wonder if you can see him from this pipe right here. If you climb up. No. Yeah, he's the hardest one to find. He's the most Easter eggy of Easter eggs. Okay. So that was Volume 1. Let's look at Volume 2. Scholar's Log, 8th of Frostfall, Solstheim, Northeastern Shore. We have spent days preparing for our excursion into Itnamzand, the Dwemer ruin that rose out of the sea. Pandora has prepared water-breathing potions for each of us. Tyrol complains about the taste, but I have said to him that surely a potion that tastes of raw egg and barnacle is preferable to his lungs burning for air. He stopped complaining of the taste. Upon seeing Itnamzand, I was utterly amazed. The ruin is taller than any building I have seen, and much of it is submerged under water. The ruin is remarkably well preserved. No erosion, no broken pieces. Dwemer flags still fly, and drawbridges stay connected and upright. Immense quantities of water flow from a number of pipes, 16 by my guess, on the exterior. Fog flows on the top, where 3 towers reach toward the sky. Zulema tells me she saw skeletons of ice patrolling these towers, but I have yet to see them. Sudin is anxious to enter, but the water is ice cold. That, and we are not certain as to how to enter at all. Sudin has expressed some regret at retiring our Argonian. To be fair, a cold-blooded creature likely would not fare well in such cold water. Pandora volunteered to search the submerged exterior of the ruin for a door, but Tyrol, in a rare instance of wisdom, argued that Pandora is the only one of us who knows how to make a decent water-breathing potion. I can cast water-breathing, but only on myself, and I will admit the water-breathing potions I make are fairly useless, only offering a few seconds of breath. Tyrol, after removing his heavy gear, dove into the water with several potions, including water-breathing and resist frost. Minutes passed like hours before he returned, unharmed, but still shaking from the cold. We prepared a fire for him to warm himself. He told us there was a door on the opposite side of the ruin, a few feet underwater. Sudin has decided we will venture into the ruin in a few hours. So, I need to show you what he was talking about. This is, people have a really hard time finding that, these should cast light. I should add add-on notes to these so they cast light. I'm gonna make a note. Fairies should cast light. World fairies. This used to be a loose book, but I made it a little easier to find, and now there's a +1 Zuna dagger in there too. And chicken egg hanging moss. So here's the exterior of Itnamzand, which was described in that journal entry. So there's Itnamzand. And you actually find volume 1 over here. There's a fairy right above it. There's volume 1. So you can see Itnamzand from that location. And then the siphon is where you find volume 2. And he's talking about entering the dungeon. And he enters the dungeon through this door on this side. There's a door right here. And that's how he got in. There's a little fairy above it. And there's those skeletons that he was talking about. But yeah. And there's a bunch of pipes. He seems to have miscounted because there's only like 12. He counted 16, so he's a bit of an idiot. He can't count. Alright, volume 3. I'm going to fly over here and take a look-see so that we can see Itnamzand in the background. Volume 3. Scholar's Log, 8th of Frostfall, Solstheim, Northeastern Shore. Upon exiting the siphon, we were ambushed by skeletons made of ice and creatures that looked like ash hoppers, but with only a single large eye in the center of their heads. We are all shaken and have decided to rest now that we have entered the ruin proper. We can hear noises from the next room, so Tyrol has volunteered to stand guard. We managed to brave the first level of the ruin, coming to a large spiral staircase with ring-like lamps embedded in the central column. Sudin is surprised we are all still alive. We will rest and descend the staircase soon. We had to run. Pandora is dead. The dwarves were wise in their designs. Barely anything can damage a centurion. Tyrol is gravely injured and is losing blood. Zulema knows little about restoration, and we are doing our best to keep Tyrol alive. His brute force managed to disable some of the automata. As we approach another door, the ruin shakes. Something is wrong, but Sudin insists we press on. So, let's go to Itnamzand 01. No, I can't spell Itnamzand, apparently. Itnamzand. It's so easy. So I'll show you the scenes that unfolded in that situation. So let's see here. These are the Tektites, which are basically ash hoppers with a giant eye in the front. And then they managed to get through the ash hoppers. They got through this area. They got here to the spiral staircase, which is what he described. Spiral staircase. And then there's the Centurion, Dwarven Centurion, and there is Pandora. She's dead, and this is where you find Volume 3. It's that book right there. She's having a great time. And that's a Chew. Oh, no, that's not a Chew. That's a Poe. That's what's left of a Poe. So, they had fun. Oh, that door's locked. Well, I can just phase through it. So, that's Volume 3. Volume 4... Let me see where Volume 4 takes place. Okay, so what they did was they came through here. TCL. Came through here. They managed to get past all of this. And they ended up here. And Itnamzand Deep is where we started the video. And we saw Pandora's ghost earlier, and we saw Turul's ghost. And there's this TCL down here. Nope. No. TCL. Thank you. Just fall on down that way. And this is where Volume 4 takes place. Scholar's Log, 8th of Frostfall. Zulema and Turul are dead, killed on impact. The dwarves of Itnamzand dug too greedily and too deep. We fell through a hallway that must have been folded, turned sideways by geologic forces. I thought quickly and protected myself with iron flesh, and Sudin must have relaxed their body or used alteration magic, as they are unharmed. We have lost much of our equipment. We are lost and have no way back to the surface. After killing more of those ash hopper mimics, Sudin and I rested and spoke. You find this BT dubs. You find this right here. So where we're standing right now is where Sudin and Arefal were. Hey, listen, Sudin said. Quiet. Utter quiet. My thought was that the folded section was cut off from the rest of the ruins, so nothing that could make noise did. Neither of us spoke for some time after this. Ruins like this are altars, Sudin said, each with 10,000 attendants, big, small, servicing, attending in choirs. But the gods have gone away, and the ritual of the religion continues senselessly, uselessly. It is as though the dwarves never disappeared. Their servants are just as busy and dutiful without them. That's a reference to There Will Come Soft Rains by Ray Bradbury. And that's the end of Volume 4. But yeah, so Sudin is commenting on the nature of Dwemer ruins, that the dwarves are gone, but the automata continue doing their thing. So from there, we go to Volume 5, which we have to get through Itnamzand Deep. So the whole ruin has been twisted and folded up in on itself, as you can see by this room, which is literally upside down. It's also designed after a Zelda 1 dungeon, this specific room. But once you get through here, there's a Parotamo. Thanks for coming out. Creepy bloody dragon, or skeleton. You get to this hallway, which is twisted, and everything rights itself. And Arefal's Journal, Volume 5. There's Arefal himself, so he's dead. He died. But you find Volume 5 on his person. And Volume 5 is written in a different hand. Frostfall. Arefal was good at what he did, but he did not survive. It was a mistake to enter this ruin. I think I found a way out, but it is blocked by a dwarven machine, older and stronger than any I've ever seen. It is my only option. Better to die quickly than slow agony. So that wasn't written by Arefal, it was written by Sudin. And then when you enter here, there's the ancient automaton, which is what Sudin was talking about, and there's Sudin's corpse. So Sudin died. They all died. The only one that survived was the one that was thrown overboard. But if you use the Eye of Truth, you can see Sudin up here judging, not having a good time. Another thing that you can see with the Eye of Truth is Arefal's ghost, and Arefal's ghost is right here. So there's Arefal's ghost sitting on a bench, and next to him is Zulema's ghost. So even though they both died, they're hanging out together in the afterlife. So that's a fun little tidbit. So those are the journals in Itnamzand, except there's one more, Zulema's note. This is from Zulema, the high elf mage lady. Arefal, I wrote this rather than speak to you in person during our expedition. I did not wish for the others to hear. I was going to keep this secret, but I know I can trust you. I will be honest. I am here for one specific piece of treasure, and I will admit that Sudin is helping me find it more than I am helping her. Zulema is misgendering Sudin. I have heard that this dungeon is home to a powerful, mysterious sword from a lost age. It is said to be sleeping, but if awakened, could prove to be dangerous in the wrong hands. I have tried to get the attention of mages and priests in Skyrim to help find it, but they never answered my requests. I came here to find it myself. I cannot let you keep it if we find it, but I promise I will repay you. Z. So, something that I deliberately did with the lore, from Arefal's perspective, he consistently refers to Sudin as they. Zulema doesn't track that, so Zulema's using the wrong pronouns, but I deliberately made Sudin like a non-binary character, because representation is important. There is another note somewhere. Let me find it. Help. Midden. There's another... Oh, shoot. It's... I forget which one it is. Is it just called Note? Is it Old Note? Old Note. No, not Ocarina. No, that's not it. There's another note that you find in the Midden. Note about... Scribbled note? No. I need to find it. Oh, Forgotten Note. No, that's not it. There is another note that is signed Z. Is it this? No. Old note from Arrow Shrine. Old note from Urn. That's not it. Okay, maybe it's not note. Maybe it's page. Torn page. Nope, I didn't mean to do that. Oh well. That wasn't it. Note on crystal and page. I'll have to track it down. Because it's another one signed Z, and at first it seemed like it was signed by Zelda, since it's Z, but it's not. It was Zulema, so Zulema was running around. Lost journal. Pictographs. Scrawled note, scribbled note. This is gonna bug me if I don't find it. Strife Swamp note. Torn page. Well, poop. Scouting report? I don't think it would be scouting report. I have a solution. I know how to... We'll save over this one. The easiest way for me to find it is to load like an older save, like this guy. Oh, okay, fine. Yeah, fine. Okay, just load it. Yeah, just load it. Oh, okay. Something's going on here. Yeah, I'm gonna make this new character fast travel, or I'm gonna warp this new character to the midden to get that note. Old chest. Old letter from Midden. Oh, it was letter. Old letter from Midden. My king, I'm Oh, that's not it. Huh. I know for a fact that there's another. It wasn't Old Letter from Midden. There is another one somewhere that is signed Z. I just forget where it is. Well, I guess we'll move on. We'll load the load this save. Yeah. We'll move on to Ignacia's journals and read through those. Okay. So we'll read Ignacia's journals right quick. Find a nice warm place to sit. Out of the way, jerk ass. There we go. We'll start here. All right, Ignacia's journal. Ignacia's journal, volume 1. Okay. On my way to Hammerfell. Falkreath was hospitable enough. Wet and cold, naturally, though not as cold as Bruma. Strangely enough. I've never understood climate, though. I imagine it's the mountains. Night is falling, and I should take shelter. Looks like it might rain. I found an ancient Nordic barrow hidden in the trees. I love the stillness of the wood, and I know these crypts are silent. I'll have to watch for bandits, but my talents with fire magic, my god, I can't read. My talents with fire magic will make quick work of them. If nothing else, I'll scare them off. Luckily, nobody is here, but someone certainly was. Bedrolls, a chest of doubtlessly stolen goods. One of those space statues fell from the wall, and someone's put a pot on it. Empty but not dry. Used recently. I'm not tired, so I might as well explore the barrow. Eagles. Why 3? These ancient Nords usually have different animals on these. This wall does not look stable. It sounds like there is a lot of space behind it. Pockets of air in the earth. Every so often I hear a rumble. Makes me nervous. Thunder? Or is it rock? Is there someone else here? I hear shuffling down the hall. I'm going to... And she didn't finish it. Do you want to play with me? Somebody else wrote that in there. So this is where you find volume 1. Right on top of that chest. And that's the little Nord face that she saw. And then those are the eagles that she was talking about. Alright, so volume 2. Almost got killed by that boulder. Now I'm trapped. Drop my other journal. Doesn't matter. Those bandits will find it, sure, but who cares? They can't find me just as I can't get out of here. She writes can't in a strange way. I have food. I hear water. Maybe there's a back way. The corpses walk. By Arche, the corpses walk. They burn well, but one managed to hit me with its sword. I check the wound. It's fine. I don't know much about restoration. Maybe I can find a healing potion in here. I don't think flames will be enough. There are too many of them. For now, I'll have to hide from them. I'll grab one of their swords. That'll do. I killed one of the corpses and took its axe. I've had to hide behind walls to keep away from them while they look for me. Some of them wear wooden masks and even fewer rags than the others. I'm staying as far from them as possible. The mask wearers, their screams. Oh, Arcade, their screams. One of them saw me and it screamed, froze me dead in my tracks. It felt like hours before I could move again, while it walked toward me. I know it was only a few seconds. I ran. I couldn't face them. I'm not strong enough. I found a huge cave, managed to sneak by more of the corpses. There was a chest with a healing potion in it. That helped. The skeletons walk too. They fall apart easily, but they are the most eerie things I have ever seen. I'm staying in this abandoned tower or whatever it is for now. If you're finding these journals, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you found this place too. I hope you're nearby. I hope you'll find me. I may die here from starvation. I certainly can't eat the corpses or survive long on mushrooms. And if the ancient Nords had food, it's rotten by now. Those bandits are living a king's life. Okay, we'll play good guys and bad guys. So she was talking about right here there's a big ass boulder. And she ended up down here. Brambleberry's arrived. Welcome. We're reading lore. We're doing the Morwitijaal journals, Ignacia's journals. She ended up down here, and you find volume 2 sort of in this area. There it is. So she was hiding in this tower. And if anyone has any requests, let me know. I'm going to read through Ignacia's journal, but if anyone has any requests. My name is Ignacia I can't read. My name is Ignacia Deflagratio. I was born in Shaden Hall. My mother always joked that I had such a talent for fire magic that I came out of the womb burning. More likely is I was named Ignacia for my hair. She has red hair. I never pursued magic. I trained with a fighting staff for a few years, but decided to pursue trading instead. I never liked fighting. I always preferred the art of speech and diplomacy to get what I wanted. While I was never sure, I like to think I can read minds at least a little. I'm good at guessing, and I'm good at suggestion. I just hope I'm good at survival. I need to make these journals count. I've lost 3 already to make room in my knapsack for more important things. There's no need to describe this place. I have a feeling that if you happen to be reading this, you are here too. That or I got out and decided to show you. It doesn't matter. This place is just like any other Nord ruin except the corpses walk. If I see anything remarkable, I'll write it down. So far, the only remarkable thing has been the screaming corpses. She's talking about Redeads. One regret I have is not staying close to my brother. We never really got along, but he was family. I suppose my aimless wandering was because of his death. Leading Cyrodiil to look for answers, I guess. Try to make sense of the world. Try to find something worthwhile in it. Leaving Cyrodiil might have been an attempt to separate myself from the pain. Skyrim is different, but not different enough. The deserts of Hammerfell was where I was headed. Nothing green or white. That and the desert is home to things that have found a way to thrive where everything else dies. I suppose Vardenfell would have been a good place too. Would have been. Clocktown. Why do I keep thinking those words? Clocktown. What does that mean? Come to think of it, I keep thinking mask. I haven't seen a mask anywhere around here. This place is starting to get to my head. There's a strange energy here. Have I been to Morrowind? I don't think so, but I keep seeing houses made of mushrooms. A swamp, a volcano, mountains, valleys, oceans. I see the moon, but which one? Gray. I need to rest. I'll be the good guy and you be the bad guy. Volume 4. Are you ready? You're the bad guy. And when you're bad, you just run. I didn't write that. I swear I didn't. Is this some sort of nightmare or an evil warlock? Ancient Nord magic? Some ancient god's wrath? I've heard stories about people getting trapped in tombs and going mad. I refuse. I'm getting out of here. I will not join the dead in their own home. I've managed to sneak by droves of the corpses. They burn easily and are brittle. Easy to sneak attack. I grabbed one of their swords. It's hard to attack stealthily with an axe. I'm keeping it, though. It'll be helpful if I have to face one of them in a more even fight. I see opened and closed coffins every once in a while. I don't want to find out what's inside. Actually, I already know. 2 became 1. That's a new thought running through my head without thinking it. What does it mean? 2 became 1. Mirrored. The mirrored. 2 became 1. The mirrored. The reflection and the first. I want to stop listening, but they shout. I found a crossbow. Now I don't need to get anywhere near those corpses to deal with them. I don't have any bolts, though. I need to make them count. The corpses don't seem to have any pressure points. I've been hitting their knees to knock them down so I can escape. Arke knows how long. That's fine, right? I'm going to go to the catacombs. Because that's where she left her last journal. Yes, yeah, this is the right place. Never mind the man behind the curtain. The heck? There's a rock having a rave. Shut it up, you. Come on. Get with the program. Here, if this will help. Nope, that didn't help at all. There we go. Okay. Ignacia's Journal, Volume 5. Spiders. There are spiders down here. Giant white and red spiders. I killed one and stood there, stunned by the skull on its back. I lost the axe. It stuck in one of them. I thought I saw a gold one, but it hid from me. I'm not sure, but I think it had something in its mouth. I found another axe and a shield. That should help. I'm becoming a bit paranoid, so I took a corpse's helmet and bracers. They stink to oblivion, but then again, so do I. Maybe they'll leave me alone. Didn't think so. I'm surprised at how sturdy this shield is. Strange colors, too. Light hits it in a funny way. Haven't used the crossbow in a while. Haven't had any messages in a while. A tree? There's a tree down here. It's tall. It goes out. I don't care where it goes. I'm getting out. I can't carry the crossbow anymore. No bolts. Don't need the axe or shield. I'll keep the sword and armor. If you find this, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you can find out what my ramblings and messages meant. All I know is I'm getting out of here and I intend to survive. I'm never going to another tomb ever again. Oh. Well, shall we play? And after that, everything goes crazy in Morwitijaal. So yeah, this is the tree that she climbed up, and there's the axe that she left behind. And she managed to climb up there and get out of the dungeon. Then there's the notes that you find on the bosses in the dungeon. There's Swamp Note. Your friends, what kind of people are they? I wonder, do those friends think of you as a friend? So that's a Swamp Note. And then there's the Mountain Note. Maybe I should just search for notes so I don't... Oh my god. Swamp Note. Mountain Note. Mountain Note. What makes you happy? I wonder, what makes you happy? Does it make others happy too? These are quotes from at the end of Majora's Mask. The kids in the moon kids. Canyon Note, Ocean Note. Ocean Note is first. Ocean Note. The right thing. What is it? I wonder, if you do the right thing, does it make everybody happy? And then there's the Canyon note. Canyon note, page 1. Your true face. What kind of face is it? I wonder, the face under the mask, is that your true face? And then there's the moon note. A puppet that can no longer be used is mere garbage. This puppet's role has just ended. Everyone has gone away, haven't they? Well, let's do something else. Do you want to play with me? And then that's Majora's Mask, and you have Majora's Mask, and things happen. That's not it. I'm still looking for that. One of these days I'll find that that note that has Z. Uno momento, I need to ban this bot. Yep. Beep. Yeah, it's Morwitijaal is pretty spooky. Alright, I'm gonna make a note that I read Ignacia's journals, swamp note, mountain note, ocean note, canyon note, and moon note. I'm gonna look at one more possibility for that one note that Zulema wrote. Let me see here. Yeah. Alright, I'm not going to try to find it. Alright, so, there's not many, there's like, Kinolangdanzel is a little different. There's no journals in Kinolangdanzel. There is a failed adventuring party, but they all wrote poetry, and poetry can be its own separate kind of thing. But there is a dwarven book in Kinolangdanzel, which is here, and I think I already grabbed it. Let me look. Dwemer Songbook. Yeah, so this is what you find in Kinolangdanzel, and then if you translate it, you get, "This place is pure evil. Us Dwemer may have put the Daedra behind us, but we still know what evil is, and this place is it. We have built for years and years, and all to shut away that instrument of war deep within the ancient shrine. We found the ruins of the pit and the monsters deep within. We cleared them out and rebuilt the halls, but they came back. We do not know where they came from. The land is unstable beneath us. Faults break our halls before we are finished. The earth moves before we can make it stable. We want to abandon this, but the evil in this place is too deep and horrible for us to allow it into the world above. Miners have come out of it speaking in riddles. They talk of nothing more than darkness and death and sorrow. Us Dwemer may have some scorn for the surface, but we do not wish it dead. The giant skeletons and shrieking corpses and the skull spiders are not of this world. They should not be allowed to escape. They wail and pound on the doors of the crypt. My task was to record what we know of the instrument in the deep, but I refuse. Let it be forgotten. The instrument is one that will sow war if in the wrong hands. Better to have no information about it than any. I wrote another book and filled it with the hollow notes that thing makes. I destroyed that book and all the copies I made, and scattered the pages. I tried to burn them, but the instrument refuses to be ignored. The tunes it can play make men stand still, and the skies open, and dead horses and dead people walk again. That instrument can heal and maim and possess the minds of any man or mare or creature. One of the songs echoes and allows a person to create a key out of nothing at an old altar. And for that it must be forgotten. Rumors tell of that more ancient evil was found in the city of Itnamzand in the north and east. I fear for the Dwemer there. I pray this instrument is the only of its kind. So that Dwemer is talking about the Ocarina of Time and just how powerful it is. I don't think there's anything else in Kinolangdanzel other than, like, there's... What's this? Oh, that's the Great Fairy story I already read. Yeah, Kinolangdanzel just has that one that's not poetry. Oh, Dlekjran's journal. It's a little out of order, but Dlekjran's journal. I should have read this after Arefal's journals, but here's a little epilogue. This is the Argonian that was thrown overboard. Gods, I wasn't expecting my latest job to turn sour so quickly. Sudine was far too touchy about simple things like rationing supplies. I don't think she likes to be questioned. A lot of my equipment got damaged when she threw me overboard, so now I'm even further in debt. Also misgendering Sudine, but who cares? You know what? I'm going down to Raven Rock, and I'll just sit in the inn and follow anyone who wants me to. All I ask is for a little treasure, or bread if I'm honest. So, there's not much going on there. Alright. Make a note of that. Okay, I'm gonna get a snack really quick, and then I'm gonna read Ganon lore. And then if we have time, I'll read the Hero's Laments, unless anybody has any requests. So I'll be right back. Okay. I got my snack. Okay. So, I don't know. Do I have it? I think did I read this one? I think I did read Ganon and the Hero in a previous episode of Storytime. But I'll reread it just in case I didn't. It's not very long. Alright. Ganon and the Hero. Take the universe and grind it down to the finest powder and sieve it through the finest sieve and show me one atom of justice, one molecule of mercy. And yet you act as if there's some ideal order in the world, as if there's some rightness in the universe by which it may be judged. That is a quote from Terry Pratchett, from books by Terry Pratchett. A hero entered my throne room, one of many to have succeeded at besting my minions and reaching me in the empty hope of ending the strife facing Hyrule. He approached me as I rested on my throne, but he stopped a safe distance away. I had been waiting for him. "Which hero are you?" I asked. "Do you come from a Hyrule that has fallen, or one that has thrived? Do you come from a Hyrule that has known my name, or one that has forgotten it?" The hero did not speak. "Speak," I commanded. "I will not have my time wasted by a child." The hero did not speak. "Speak," I repeated. Silence. "Speak," I shouted, rising to my feet. The hero readied himself for battle. I did not move. "You are not the first," I said, "and you will not be the last. You will learn that this war cannot be won." I rushed the hero and swung my sword at him. He dodged my attack, and my fist was ready to meet him. I threw him across the room. "Predictable," I said as the hero struggled to rise, "as all the others were. It is fitting that you will not speak." I waved my hand and secret doors flew open. A horde of undead emerged to face the hero. "You will be silent forever," I said. As I left the room, I saw the hero stand against them with fearful determination in his eyes. I sealed the door behind me. Let him try and find a way out. I have matters that require my attention. So, Ganon's kind of a meanie pants. Doesn't establish which hero that was, but obviously that takes place after the mages have summoned a bunch of heroes. We read The Dark Lord and the World Eater. We read Wisdom, Power, and Emotion, which are the other two Ganon books. So check out number 2 on my YouTube channel, episode number 2, to see those lore books. Next up is Ganon's Vexation, in chronological order. Life is always on the edge of death. Narrow streets lead to the same place as avenues, and a little candle burns itself out just like a flaming torch does. I choose my own way to burn. I'm going to look up that quote. That is a quote by Sophie Scholl. Okay. My country lay within a vast desert. When the sun rose into the sky, a burning wind punished my lands, searing the world. And when the moon climbed into the dark of night, a frigid gale pierced our homes. No matter when it came, the wind carried the same thing, death. But the winds that blew across the green fields of Hyrule brought something other than suffering and ruin. I coveted that wind, I suppose. That's from Wind Waker. I remember my childhood. My mothers would bring me to Hyrule's marketplace, and I would hear laughing, mocking. I could see the Hylians stare. Look, they would say, Gerudo. They say a boy is born every 100 years. How? How can you have children if a man is only born every 100 years? They never asked us, only each other in jest. We Gerudo live harsh lives in the desert, but we are hardy and live long lives. A century to a Gerudo is not the same length of time as to a Hylian or Zora. Gerudo blood is not bound to the valley. The Hylians ignore the desires of their own men, of their own soldiers. They ignore that the world is gray. They ignore the women and children abandoned to the desert because Gerudo blood is strong, and a child born of a Gerudo mother or with Gerudo heritage will be female and with Gerudo features. A Gerudo boy is born to be king because Gerudo blood eclipses the blood of the father. I am destined to be king. This world is mine. It can only be called fate that here I would again gather the three with the crests, that I should lay my hand on that which grants the wishes of the beholder, that when power, wisdom, and courage come together, the gods would have no choice but to come down. The power of the gods, the Triforce. He who touches it will have whatever he desires granted. Hero of time, face me. Her absence has upset the balance of our deadly game. I clench my fist, and only you are brave enough to step forward to fight, rather than cower in fear. I am the desert scape, the sand inside your hourglass. I have taken advantage of the key strategic weaknesses of Hyrule. The dead outnumber the living. My dark army has allowed me to obtain the crest of courage, and Lorule has crumbled to my hand. Everything must come to death, all things. Hyrule is bleeding, and I will be its tourniquet. There must be balance, hero, and yet you have not arrived to save this kingdom. You were meant to save this world. People would have looked to you and seen hope. I will take that from them first. The angels fall first. I grow stronger by the day and crush Hyrule more, but you do not see. I want to rule this world, but without balance I may only rule the dust. It is your fault if Hyrule dies. It is your fault if Hyrule falls. All you love is a lie. Balance must rule this world. The Gorons awaken a beast that will devour this land, and it will not listen to me, though I have the power and will that it may. I must obtain the Triforce so that I can control this beast and have Hyrule to myself. Only the princess stands in my way. I might revise this lore book a little bit, because it's a little erratic. It's just a little erratic. So it might get a little polish. So there's a lot of quotes. The first that part right there is from, on the left page, is from Wind Waker. He addresses the whole century king thing, and saying that the lineage of Gerudo goes through the mother, and that Gerudo blood is strong. So it's not literal. They live 100 years or whatever. And then he quotes Wind Waker again. And then he blames the Hero of Time for messing everything up. He doesn't explain how he got the Crest of Courage. That would be interesting. I wonder how he did that. Angels Fall First is a quote from Nightwish. People would have looked to you and seen hope. I will take that from you. From first, as a quote from Age of Ultron, I think. All you love is a lie. Is a quote from Nightwish. Whoever brings the night, I think. Balance must rule this world. I feel like that was a quote too. Balance must rule this world. I wonder if that's a quote from a Zelda game. I forget. Okay, yeah. So Ganon's Vexation is a little... Oh, sand inside your hourglass. Is from Ghost River by Nightwish. And A Hero of Time, Face Me is actually kind of a reference to this, like, April Fool's video that somebody made of, like, a Zelda movie trailer that didn't actually exist. But anyway, Ganon's Vexation might shift. So then, Dark Lord and the World Eater happens, and then Wisdom, Power, and Emotion happens. So, if you remember from Wisdom, Power, and Emotion, at the end of the long battle with Zelda, long battle, Zelda wins, and he's like, I saw the world crumble, the Triforce exploded and roared, 48 shards of gold and black flew into the white void. I saw white, endless white, blinding white, searing heat, then blackness, no sound. I felt nothing, saw nothing, and heard nothing until I heard his voice. And that is where... I hope I went to the right place. Yes, this is going to be the backdrop for Ganon's fate. Ganon's fate. Shall the hag evil die with the child of good, or propagate again her loathed kind, thronging the cells of the diseased mind, hateful with hanging cheeks, a withered brood, though hourly pastured on the salient blood? Let's go ahead and look that up. Die with the child. It's a sonnet. One of Shakespeare's sonnets. Nope. False. It's Alfred Lord Tennyson's sonnet. It's the first little bits of it. Alfred Lord Tennyson. Gerudo, we meet again, I heard the darkness say. I do not recognize your voice. The darkness laughed. Even your own death does not faze you. Admirable. Who are you? I shouted into the void. I am no fool. You will not deceive me. The darkness laughed again. Your pride was your downfall. Do not let your afterlife be tainted by it. The goddess Pharaoh manipulated me. Her Triforce of Wisdom trapped me, and Zelda took advantage of my lapse in judgment. Hyrule is destroyed and lost forever, and she is to blame. You are wise, Gerudo, but foolish. Do you not feel the hatred you harbor for the very thing you desire? Let the past die. Your future is here. There is much for you to do. I demand to know your identity, I said. If you wish to join me, you must first reveal yourself to me. The darkness gave way to blood-red hues. I looked around me and saw a sea of lava far below, with black islands and continents scorching within it. I realized that I was being carried by an enormous red hand. Your arrogance is tiresome. I am not joining you, Gerudo. This is now your world. I rule this plane of oblivion. You will serve me. An arm, shoulder, and head materialized to connect with the hand. The face of the giant was terrible, horned and ragged with hatred and malice. His teeth were long and sharp, and two tusks jutted from his jaw. I am Mehrunes Dagon, Lord of Destruction and Ambition. I became your god after you forgot the goddess of power. You are fortunate to be here. I do not know you, demon. We have spoken many times, Gerudo. When the World Eater was released from his prison, and you began to pursue a path of destruction, change, and revolution, you began to pray to me. Not consciously, but with the fibers of your being. You were an avatar of power, but you lost your connection with Din and became an agent of destruction. Your feud with Hylia is over. The circle has been broken. I stared in silence at the face of my new master. Then I am finally free, I asked. Free? No. Your soul belongs to me. You should be grateful. When Hylia destroyed the Triforces, every uncorrupted soul was released from their mortal prison. I rescued yours. What of Zelda? Was her soul claimed? That does not matter anymore, Gerudo. Let the past die. Kill it if you have to. Is this my punishment for living countless lives of hatred and revenge? For being the darkness that balanced the light of Zelda and the hero? Punishment? Dagon laughed. No, this is your reward. The land below me is your new kingdom. Forget your Triforce, forget your goddess. There has always been more power in oblivion than Din's trinket ever had. You will become a new Lord of Darkness with my help. This is your reward. I have many plans that you may assist with. I will give you power beyond your reckoning. Dagon began to fade away and turned his hand to drop me to the blackened island below. I tried to hold fast, but failed and fell through the burning air to the scorched island below. In hindsight, I could have given Ganondorf Ganon a deeper voice, but I'm not a voice actor. So, Mehrunes Dagon grabbed Ganon and dropped him here. This was Ganon's Deadlands. So this little island belongs to Ganon, and that's his tower. And basically it's just explaining how Ganon was scooped up by Mehrunes Dagon and dropped into oblivion and forced to serve Mehrunes Dagon. When Hylia destroyed the Triforces, every uncorrupted soul was released from their mortal prison. So it's been in the mod since version 6.2. It's always been implied that Zelda triggered a rapture. It's going to be even more obvious with an upcoming lore book, but Mehrunes Dagon just confirmed it, that every uncorrupted soul was released from their mortal prison. He doesn't say that they were scooped up by the goddesses. That's what Zelda will explain later in another lore book. But the nuggets have always been there. Alright. And, oh, yes. There's some references. One is, let the past die, kill it if you have to. That's a reference to the best Star Wars movie ever made. A little troll. And interestingly enough, the Thalmor notes in Relics of Hyrule end with that line as well. So all the Thalmor orders, let the past die, kill it if you have to, but for the glory of the Almeri Dominion. It's a reference to The Last Jedi, which every time I reference The Last Jedi, I always call it the best Star Wars movie ever made, because so many people hate it that I just think it's funny to, like, just troll people. So somebody in the Discord asked, like, hey, does that mean, like, the Thalmor are in league with Mehrunes Dagon because they use the same line? And I'm like, I'm not saying anything. I'm not implying anything, but it's an interesting connection to make. And then finally, another reference in Ganon's fate is the very end. Mehrunes Dagon's holding Ganon. So, like, Mehrunes Dagon is freaking huge if he's holding Ganon in his hand. But he turned his hand to drop me into the blackened island below. That is a reference to Ultima 8, Pagan, the opening of that game has the avatar being held by the Guardian, and the Guardian drops him into Pagan. So I made a little reference there, and when D. Magnus heard or saw me read this years ago on stream, he excitedly was like, "Was that a reference to Ultima 8?" And I was like, "Yes, it was." Okay, finally, not you. Ganon's Epitaph, which I believe you find at the top of the tower. Oh, wait, no, you find it in the tower. So, let's just float over here and take a look at this. Yeah, it's inside the tower. You find it with his stuff. So Ganon's Epitaph has an Oblivion symbol on it. So it was written in Oblivion. Great men are forged in fire. It is the privilege of... Wow. Sometimes I just hate it when I flub. Great men are forged in fire. It is the privilege of lesser men to light the flame. That is a quote from Doctor Who, specifically the War Doctor. In The Day of the Doctor? I think that's the 50th anniversary special. My reward for my life of hate, pain, evil, and death was an eternity of destruction. A burning island of souls I could rule and dominate. I became king of the dead and the lost, answering only to Mehrunes Dagon, Daedric Prince of Destruction, with the Dremora as my servants. My legion followed me, and my island is inhabited by Stalfos, Dinophos, Moblins, Bokoblins, and Pose. Some have gone feral and mad from the realm, others thrive. Of those, only Dinophos and Bokoblins haven't been added to Relics of Hyrule yet. But they're on the list. I assisted Dagon with his plans, invading what used to be Hyrule's realm time and time again. We never visited Hyrule, only its ruins. Was Dagon afraid of the World Eater? Was Hyrule erased from time itself? Our nearest triumph was to scour the world with the Oblivion Gates. I led armies through the Somerset Isles and Varden Fell, destroying their cities and slaughtering their people. I demanded to see what Hyrule had become, and Dagon obliged, commanding me to scour the land of Skyrim, the kingdom that grew from Hyrule's ashes. Now, before we move on, I need to address a couple things. So, Somerset Isles, it is, that's where the High Elves come from, that's where the Aldmeri Dominion is. So that person who noticed, let the past die, kill it if you have to, they're wondering if, like, Ganon's presence influenced the Thalmor to use that line. And the Thalmor rose sort of out of the ashes of the Oblivion Crisis. So it's a good connection. I'm not going to make it, like, official, but it's a good headcanon. That the Thalmor were influenced by Ganon. Also, according to Elder Scrolls canon, Elder Scrolls lore, Skyrim was hit very hard by the Oblivion Crisis, which is the plot of Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, which takes place in Cyrodiil, which is south of Skyrim. So, according to that, the lore, the story in Elder Scrolls, Skyrim was hit really hard by the Oblivion Crisis. So, it only makes sense that Hyrule was Skyrim. Like, it all connects. It makes sense that Ganon was part of Dagon's army and that he helped scour Hyrule. Hyrule was gone. Or scour Skyrim. Hyrule was gone. I found no trace of it in Skyrim. Rage overtook me, for the World Eater took Hyrule from me and left nothing. And Mehrunes Dagon tricked me, placing me in Hyrule's ashes thousands of years after I had fallen, and nothing remained. Dagon used me for his own goals. He knew I would be enraged, and he wanted destruction, death, and more souls for his dead lands. I could not stop. My army slaughtered millions of people, and I alone slaughtered thousands. I felt nothing. Ganon, can you hear me? Follow me. I never rested. There was no need for sleep in the Deadlands. My life was monotony. Dealing pain, harvesting souls, and roaming on razor-sharp castles, ruling all but myself. An uprising among the Dremora would occur, and I would have them executed. My Darknuts were eternally faithful. I could trust them. I could not trust the Daedra. There was no challenge, no change, only destruction. Follow me. But I heard her voice. I have never heard her voice. No one ever heard her voice. I ignored it at first. The Deadlands are loud with the screaming of the damned and the hissing of lava and clan fear. Ganon, can you hear me? She spoke to no one. She was unreachable and removed from the cares of mortals. She was uncaring. No matter how I crushed Hyrule, no matter how many people I killed, her sisters and she never intervened. They trusted the hero with doing their work even when he failed to appear. Follow me. I followed her voice to the top of my tower. I ordered my Darknuts to leave me alone and guard the door. If anyone, including them, were to disturb me, they would be killed. Ganon, can you hear me? She said. I can hear you, I replied. You are not alone. I am alone. My guards cannot hear us. You misunderstand me. That is not new. I have never understood you. Why me? Why speak to me here? Why now? I have taken billions of lives, snuffed out billions of flames. I have been punished and imprisoned by your followers to protect your sigil, to smite my destiny to bear it. Why have you and your sisters subjected me to this cycle? Surely it was within your power to protect the Triforce itself. Why subject the hero, the princess, and I to this divine prank? My sisters and I created Hyrule, but left its fate in the hands of mortals. The Triforce was a beacon of hope. It was a beacon of hate. Wars were fought over it, and blood was spilled for it. You are a goddess. How did you not anticipate this? Mortals are persistent, and when you promise eternal power, they will stop at nothing to obtain or protect it, depending on their motivations. You are wise, Ganon. Is that what this was? A test? All of this? You wanted to test me to see if I was worthy of entering your realm by invitation rather than as a prisoner? You sicken me. Din the liar, Din the deceiver, goddess of manipulation and oppression. She was silent. Silence. That is a familiar response, I said. For an eternity you have been silent. Silent as your people died and the land you created turned to dust and ice. Silent as your champion failed and the World Eater destroyed what was once beautiful, thriving, and full of life. Do you miss Hyrule, then? The Gerudo Desert was my home. I coveted Hyrule. I envied its citizens. All of that is gone now. All I have left is smoke. Do you feel pain? I stopped feeling pain when Dagon captured my soul. I feel pain, she said. I feel the pain of every life you took prematurely, every flame you extinguished. I ache from Hyrule's loss like a phantom limb. If Hylia had not shattered the Triforce as she did, you would have succeeded and Hyrule would be yours. Better with me than the World Eater. No, Ganon. Do you see what is around you? Do you smell the ashes, the smoke? Do you hear the screams of the souls who deserved a better fate? This is Hyrule if you took it. Alexa, stop! No, Ganon. Oh, yeah, this is Hyrule if you took it. You let Hyrule die. I am weary, Ganon. You do not yet understand. Zelda is with Nehru now, and Farour is searching for Link. After thousands of years, I have found you, and I want you by my side. But you are not ready, and perhaps mine was an empty hope that you would be. I will use my waning power to send you a moon pearl. Use it to build a gate from oblivion, and when you step through, you will no longer be alone. Why are you doing this? No answer. Din, goddess of power, answer me. Silence. One moment. Okay. I left the roof to my tower. A Dremora approached me. "My lord," he said, "one of the new souls was carrying a sigil stone. He must have stolen it from another tower in the Deadlands. He has been destroyed." "Show me the stone," I said. The Dremora and I ventured to the forge under the tower, where equipment from unfortunate souls was collected. Another Dremora was holding the stone and held it out to me. "My lord," he said. I took the stone. It looked ordinary. Dark clouds swirling over a red sphere, clearing at times to show the spinning, suspended core. Black lines, pits, and valleys. The Triforce. The Triforce, engraved on the surface of the stone's core, quickly passed under the dark clouds in a moment's eternity. 2 blackened triangles and 1 outlined, one at the top of the 3, the Triforce of Power. "This," I began to say, but remembered my audience. "This will be useful. Carry on." The Dremora nodded and returned to their work. As I passed into the hallway to store the moon pearl somewhere safe, I noticed gems resting on a table. Red, yellow, black, orange. Rupees. Blue tear-shaped gems rested nearby as well. Moon's tears. Relics of Hyrule. Roll credits. I took some of the rupees and tears, knowing none of my minions would object. These were fragments of my world and had to be protected. I cradled the moon pearl and set to work in my tower, learning its nature and its mystic frequencies. I knew the task would be difficult, but the gate made by this pearl would finally give me peace. The end. So you find that you find the epitaph in Ganon's tower, and then at the top of Ganon's tower you find the Trident of Power and the Moon Pearl, and when you pick it up it's called Din's Pearl. But if you look at it, now the cloud effects look kind of rough, but this is what he was talking about. There's dark clouds on it, and the stone is slowly rotating, and then every so often you see the Triforce of Power sort of emerge. So like that's what he was looking at. He sees the clouds and then they clear, and he sees the Triforce, and he's just like, "Whoop." So the idea is that Din sent this Moon Pearl disguised as a sigil stone so that she could sneak it on in there. So if at some point in the future the Moon Pearls get redesigned, I would still want Din's Pearl to look like a sigil stone at first, and then you like when you transform it, because I got Din's Pearl, when I use that, then I can change it into another form. So all of these forms could look like Din's Pearl from Wind Waker or something like that, but the Moon Pearl should be look like a sigil stone, simply to keep the lore intact. Okay, so that's all of Ganon's lore. Okay. I don't think we have time to read all of the heroes' laments, because there's like 6 that I would have to read, and I only have like 20 minutes left. So I think Ganon is a big enough chungus that I will... The Cult of Ganon. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna read the Cult of Ganon stuff. There's also the Yiga. Cult Manifesto. Okay, so Cult of Ganon, and then Arefal's Journal. Okay, that's what I'll do. Or no, what's his noodle? Not Arefal, it's Helgraf, I think. Helgraf? Alright, let's look at those. And discussion power. Alright. We'll do Cult of Ganon stuff. Good. So, the Cult of Ganon is something that causes a lot of confusion with people. People always assume that the Cult of Ganon is an actual threat, and it's like they're rebuilding Ganon's following and Ganon will rise again. But that's not the case. It's more like... The best way I can describe the Cult of Ganon is like a middle school boy getting really fascinated with certain aspects of European history and like latching onto it. Because the Cult of Ganon, like, they did their thing. Alexa, stop! Well, she didn't hear me. They did their thing, and they found a couple relics of Hyrule, but they didn't get to the point that they were a real threat. The real threat is the Yiga. So this is False God Passage. This is the headquarters of the Cult of Ganon. In fact, this right there goes to the cult headquarters, which has been overtaken by a vampire. So we're not going to go in there yet. So first things first, let's read the clan letters. Because this is the Yiga. So we need to establish the Yiga first. So clan letter, beware. I believe that gets sent to you in the mail. Clan letter 1. You must open your eyes if you wish to know the truth. Give in to this thought, all is not what it seems. And they're all acronyms for Yiga. Oh, they're all acrostics, rather. They're all acrostics with Yiga, and they all have the Yiga symbol on them. That's clan letter 1. Clan letter 2. You must turn your back on Hyrule. It belongs to us. Go on further, and you will see your folly, always ignoring the truth. Clan letter 3. Yesterday is forgotten. Investigate reality. Gain insight. Adjust your perspective. Number 4. Years frozen by time in this place of treachery. Gallons of water are tears, and the mist obscures the truth. Youth is wisdom, ignorance is power, greed is courage, altruism is selfish. Yellowing leaves are proof, in death Hyrule lives. Go away with your impeccable kin, allow us to extinguish the light. And then number 7. You have accepted reality in the way it has been presented. Give up the lies, pull back the veil, and know the truth. So the idea of the Yiga in Relics of Hyrule is they want to control the Relics of Hyrule. They want to control the history. They want to control the information. So they're trying to gaslight you into not believing what you're seeing. So they're saying that everything that you read isn't true, everything that you see isn't true, and the ideas that you have are not real. When in reality, like, most of the lore books that you find are true and real. There's some that are dubious, like Zelda's Wrath, but like all the stuff written by Ganon is actually written by him, and all the stuff written by Midna was written by her. So there are only a couple books that the Yiga managed to mess with, and I'm planning big lore bombs for the Yiga in future updates. One of them is when you reach their headquarters, when you reach their lair, and you find Master Koga, and he'll have a little lore book for you that basically outlines the whole idea of the Yiga in a way. So, like, their whole idea, the whole purpose of the Yiga is to control history. And it's like the quote from 1984, if you control the past, you control the present. If you control the present, you control the future. And so they want all the relics of Hyrule for themselves because they want the power of those artifacts, and they want to essentially take over the world. And they've been around for a while, and the way that they're doing that is by spreading disinformation so that people don't understand the relics of Hyrule and don't realize how powerful they are, and so the Yiga have control over them. So obviously the rivals of the Yiga are the Thalmor and the Cult of Ganon. So the Yiga hate the Cult of Ganon because they knew Ganon. Like, this is a long tradition of the Yiga. So let's take a look at cult study number 1. All life is to fear life. Every darkness is at its root linked to fear. Jealousy is fear that love will be taken from you. Envy is fear that you will never have what another does. Greed is fear that you will never own what you desire. Name me something terrible, and I will name you the fear. Fear is a tool. It can be manipulated and orchestrated. Terror is a symphony, and Lord Ganon is its greatest composer. Now, the leader of the Cult of Ganon never saw Ganon, never saw the guy, doesn't know who he is. He just found, like, information about him, and he's just like, ooh, Ganon, ooh, who's this? Ganon sounds really, really like a mean boy. I'm excited. That was weird. The leader of the Cult of Ganon was not a follower of Ganon in Ganon's time, and the Yiga have kind of like an oral tradition from people who followed Ganon. The Cult of Ganon are picking up pieces, sort of like I said, a 13-year-old boy who did some research on the internet and found some interesting things about a really bad painter from Europe. Cult of Ganon study number 2. We have found a glorious song. We sing to you, Lord Ganon. We wish to return you to your rightful throne. We have found it, and we will use it to restore you. Help us see the way. O Ganon, to you we pray. We offer our fragments of will. We offer our shards of power. Grant us the will to stay. Grant us the power to slay. That's the number 2. Number 3. Legends of the Jar of Malice. Ganon once had in his possession a jar of great evil from which he summoned hordes of enemies. With it, he could also resurrect fallen soldiers as undead to do his bidding. These soldiers born of the jar were all but invincible and terrifying to anyone who saw them. We have not found the Jar of Malice, but it surely exists. If it does, it would be a great boon to us. The Blue Triforce. Legends of the Triforce, a sigil of great power. There are also legends of a second Triforce, a glorious triangle of blue that grants wishes to those who touch it. I believe to have found this Blue Triforce and have yet to decipher its magic. Surely others exist and form a great tapestry of triangles extending forever. This must be the fabric of the world. A legendary scarecrow. He responded to song and was omnipresent. He could fit into small places, but was very dim-witted. I'm sure there's a way to summon him. He would be quite useful in my search for more artifacts of Ganon's might. So, Jar of Malice. We haven't found that. This is the ramblings of the leader of the cult of Ganon. I don't know if I'll ever add the Jar of Malice, but at least there's lore. The Blue Triforce. I hate to break it to this guy, but that's a blue Force gem. Do I have a blue Force gem? Yeah, basically he's talking about this. This is the Blue Triforce. So he's way off his rocker. And then the Scarecrow is actually coming, the Scarecrow song. And Dim-Witted is a reference... Actually, wait! Wait a second. The Cult of Ganon, the Cult Study Volume 3, he says... He responded to song omnipresent, so that was that's the Ocarina of Time Majora's Mask Scarecrow. He could he could fit into small places is a reference to the Scarecrow from Tingle's Rosy Balloon Trip of Love. Was that it? There's a Tingle game that's basically just the Wizard of Oz. So he could he could fit into small places is a reference to that Scarecrow. And was very dim-witted is a reference to Wizard of Oz. Hello. Cult Manifesto. Cult of Ganon Manifesto. You see what power is, holding someone else's fear in your hand and showing it to them. Power is... Let me look up that quote. Holding someone's fear. It's a quote from The Kitchen God's Wife by Amy Tan. Alright. In the course of human endeavors, it becomes obvious that one approach to reality is superior to other approaches, though nothing is guaranteed, of course, but one must pursue the best course of action and attempt to make the world stronger, cleaner, purer, and with little to no strife or pain withstood by its inhabitants, be they rich, poor, or animal, or insect, or even perhaps some manner of magic spirit that takes no physical form recognizable by standard senses. Long ago, this world was different and purer, but then it became soiled and weak as its inhabitants became complacent or lazy or incompetent, with rulers and kings peering from castles built by slaves ruled by masters with no vision or no logic behind their sight. But some kings have vision and purpose, and this was who Ganon was, a man with vision and purpose, and blessings divine and incomparable, a man capable of bringing a cleansing peace to the world and replacing tired old rulers with rulers of vision, pure and just. But he died long ago, and his vision died with him, as it often does when the eyes cease to be. A run-on sentences. The cult of Ganon seeks to bring him back, and with him a new light of darkness to the world, a new cleansing and purpose and path of righteousness that all will follow, or else be made the same as the animals or insects that see no world of the mind. 1. The cult of Ganon seeks to bring Ganon back. 2. The cult of Ganon follows Ganon. The cult follows Ganon and his vision for a new world. 3. The cult brings new life to old life. 4. The cult follows Vanderlum, voice of Ganon. 5. Vanderlum has heard Ganon, and through him Ganon speaks. 6. The cult keeps and studies pieces of the past. 7. Ganon's world keeps secrets, and secrets help bring him back. How can we bring Ganon back? Surely he is dead, and without him, and he is without form and void, and his spirit left this world during the last great cleansing. But it is through items from his time that we can bring him back, as items from his time force through them powerful magic and deep energies of forgotten worlds and times, forgotten realities and forgotten possibilities, and forgotten abilities and forgotten sensibilities, and forgotten senses of forgotten thoughts and time. Cultists must honor Ganon by wearing black robes emblazoned with the red mark of Ganon, a representation of his great claw. Vanderlum wears the leader's robes, which are red, emblazoned with a black, more refined version of the mark of Ganon. 1. The cult seeks to bring Ganon back. 2. The cult is actually a church. 4. The cult knows that which. 5. The cult admits no women's and Argonians. 3. The cult has no voice without Vanderlum. 7. The cult sees with no eyes. 8. The cult tastes with no tongue. 6. The cult dies with no life. 9. Any Argonians admitted must seek their true path as Neo-Lizalfos, a return to their ancestry. 10. Any women interviewed by Vanderlum as Ganon any women must be interviewed by Vanderlum, as through Vanderlum Ganon speaks their destiny. The world is impure and without purpose. The world needs Ganon to return it to its former glory and beauty. It is him and he alone, and whom can will shall return everything to be perfect and wonderful. That is how the world that we must bring, and the world and we are everyone that began again to get its 1. The cult. 2. The cult. 5. The cult. 6. TC. 7. No. 8. No. 9. No. 1. 1. 1. 2. Cult of Ganon lost the guy. He's off his rocker. He had a bad time. So, when you go into the cult headquarters, what you find... Hello? It's pitch black. I turned off combat, so this lady's not going to fight me. But there's a vampire, and she wiped out the Cult of Ganon. And the Cult of Ganon found this. This is Faror's Pearl. And there's the mark of Ganon. So, this is the wrong pearl. And Helgraf's journal shed some light on this. Those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities. That's Voltaire. So Helgraf is a former member of the Cult of Ganon. In fact, here he is. How's it hanging? If you take that pearl, this guy disappears, and if you go to Din's shrine, you'll find him, and he's better. And he'll join you as a follower. But right now he's prisoner of that lady with the glowing eyes. So Helgraf's journal. Those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit absurdities. You already read it. I came to the Cult of Ganon seeking rebirth. I have always felt that I had no place in this world. Too weak to be a soldier, too simple to be a wizard or scholar, too ugly to be a husband or a jarl. I made my way collecting junk and selling it. Rusty daggers, firewood, ores, and ingredients. I worked for farmers, but could never hold down any work. I drowned my sorrows in mead and shared my dreams with other drunkards in the tavern. Sometimes priests would come in and plead with us to seek salvation, only to be laughed out, soaked with mead for their trouble. Oh. There's a few... Yeah, okay. Well... Alright. One priest was different. He wore strange red robes adorned with triangles and had silver, almost bluish hair. He spoke with authority. He said change was coming and we could be the bringers of that change. The past was the key to the future, and the world needed to return to the old ways if it were to move forward. I was amazed. Others jeered at him and laughed, but I didn't. He saw me staring. You, my son. Oh. Un momento, por favor. Okay, I'm back. You, my son, will you be its herald? His herald? He asked. Who is he? I called back. My son, he is the truth forgotten by all of us. He is the bringer of change and new life through cleansing. His name is Ganon, my son. Pledge yourself, and he will reward you. Haven't heard of him, someone shouted. He one of those did-da-dee things. My son, Ganon is no Daedra, the man laughed. He is far older and greater. Mehrunes Dagon himself recruited him for his great power. Can Ganon help me in bed with the ladies? One man jeered. He can, my son. Ganon's power will help you dominate the fairer sex. He was once a king of a tribe of warrior women. You can imagine the escapades he had. The priest winked, much to the tavern's delight. Where do I sign up? A man called between swigs of mead. I'm gathering followers in an old tunnel east of Riften. Find or follow me there, and we will bring about a new world as Ganon always dreamed, the priest said. New world? What's wrong with this one? Someone said. Will this new world have women? Join me and you will have your say, the priest said. The tavern lost interest quickly, but I was somehow transfixed and made the mistake of following him. When I reached the headquarters of the cult of Ganon, I was given robes in exchange for my other belongings, which were few. The robes were uncomfortable, both in size and material, and very distinct from Vanderlum's robes. I was brought to a damp chamber with other fledgling cultists, and the priest, Vanderlum, stood before us. My children, thank you for joining us. 200 years ago, the great Mehrunes Dagon invaded Tamriel. Skyrim was attacked, too, and Ganon was the glorious general who led the charge. His memory is lost now, but we will return his glory to Skyrim. Before you are redeemed worthy of Ganon's love, we must make sure you are tested. The tests are very simple. Please, sit. We sat on old barrels and stones. Good, very good. That is your first task. Sit. He paused. Sit. Sit. He commanded us to continue sitting. Good, now breathe. Excellent. Breathe. Breathe. Very good. The training continued with simple tasks. My fellow trainees and I were confused, but we obeyed. We were rewarded with simple rings and were told no more training was coming. We were told more training was coming. Over the next days, we were given more tasks, including repeating simple phrases, greeting each other, gently touching each other. We were rewarded with food and drink, then with better robes, better bedding, daggers, and scrolls. Vanderlum often took interest in specific cultists and invited them to join him for additional training. We helped build the headquarters from an old ruin connected to the tunnel. We helped research artifacts from Ganon's old kingdom of Hyrule. We were given items and told to destroy them. We were punished if we asked questions. Not severely. We were humiliated and forgiven. We were asked each morning and each night if we revered Ganon, and were always expected to say yes. We were asked if we revered Vanderlum for bringing us to Ganon, and we were always expected to say yes. Our tasks became more advanced and more disturbing. An elvish woman was brought to us once, bound and beaten. She had black hair and wore red leather, decorated with black symbols of stylized eyes. She wore a white mask with a red eye painted on it. Vanderlum told us that this woman was dangerous, that she threatened the sanctity of the cult and the truth of Ganon's rule. You do not know, the woman said. She lies. Vanderlum said dismissively. I do not lie. We are the only source of truth. Ganon was our master. All you know is lies and the size of your own ego. You are no harbinger, nor prophet, nor sage. In time, you will see. You will know. My children, your task today, Vanderlum said, grasping the woman's hair, is to kill this woman. Destroy her body and burn all evidence of her. She does not exist. We stared at him and looked at her with fear and pity. Still holding her hair, she tore off her mask and threw it into the fireplace. Her face was cold with contempt and resolve. Helgraf, Vanderlum bellowed. Fetch her sickle. I retrieved the weapon from the woman. I retrieved the weapon the woman was found with. It had the stylized eye symbol engraved on it. Slit her throat, Vanderlum commanded, his eyes wild. Do it. I approached her and kneeled to look her in the eye. I hesitated, then held the sickle to her neck. Go on, she said, locking her eyes with mine, while I felt her voice vibrate through the metal. All will be revealed. She closed her eyes. Do you revere Ganon? Vanderlum asked me. Yes, I answered. And do you revere me for bringing you to him? Vanderlum demanded. Yes, I answered. Then do it. Your god commands you, he hissed. I will regret that day forever. But wait, there's more. Vanderlum took to locking himself in his study, a large room with black stone and a cage I never saw used. He would read books, analyze gossip we had gathered, and plan. There was a week we did not see him. When he emerged, he looked as though he had not slept. He gorged himself with food and returned to his work. We had no guidance, so we continued searching for artifacts to study, but we knew nothing. We also did not want to disturb Vanderlum, as he threatened to kill anyone who did. We were sworn to secrecy, but we knew no secrets. After 1 month of devoted study, Vanderlum threw open the door to his study. It reeked of filth. Children, he shouted. Clean this. You, he pointed to me. Gather a dozen and come. He dashed away, and I hurried after, calling to cultists as we went. Where are we going? I asked. We are not going. Ganon will be with us. Gather reagents. He will come. We entered his study and saw a green sphere floating above a dais. We were told to kneel, give our blood, and pray to Ganon. Vanderlum raved and shouted, concentrating on the sphere. We performed the ritual for hours, days, weeks. Cultists passed out from exhaustion, but Vanderlum never ceased. He would have continued the ritual if the vampire never arrived. We did not know she had come. We could not hear her. Her gargoyle broke down the door. She and a masked zombie entered, and we became paralyzed by a scream. She slaughtered everyone. Vanderlum somehow escaped, and I was the only one left alive. She tortured me, asking me what the sphere was and where we had found it. I did not know. She fed the corpses of my fellow cultists to giant wolves, for kids. I could not give her the information I needed. That she needed. That's a typo, whatever. I remember one thing she said after a session of torture, after she had drained less blood from me than usual. This cult, what do you call it? She asked, licking her lips clean. I have told you, I wheezed. I know, but I want to hear the name again. We call it the Cult of Ganon. Anger flashed in her eyes, and she scratched me across my face. Cult of Ganon, she spat. Cult of Ganon, you know nothing of Ganon. It is clear your leader knows nothing as well. If he knew anything of Ganon, he would know that he had the wrong pearl. She shouted the last words, gesturing toward the green sphere. This is Faror's pearl, and your insipid leader has tried to summon Ganon with it. Ganon was Din's avatar. He had no connection to Faror. No ritual to summon Ganon would ever work with Faror's pearl. But what if we found Din's? She struck me again. Idiot, your ignorance does not change the truth. Ganon cannot be summoned. Ganon is dead. Hyrule is dead. The goddesses themselves are dead, and these pearls reflect them, empty and useless. I detect some latent magic in Faror's pearl, but it is incomprehensible, unfinished, and broken. Perhaps you don't understand it, I suggested. She glared at me and kneeled, grasping my chin and speaking inches from my face. I knew the real cult of Ganon. I knew the men who followed him. Broken men tricked by a wicked warlord into following a losing ideology. She roughly released my face and stood. Ganon sought to bring about a new world, yes, but one of death. One that only he had power over. He was intoxicated by power. He was corrupted by it, and only used it to destroy and dominate. He lost. We all lost. It was only by the wisdom of our queen and the benevolence of Molag Bal that I and my family were preserved. We survived the end of Hyrule. We are Hyrule now, and we can give it new life. How? I whispered. She looked at me with softened contempt. I do not know yet. We may find a way to return. Your leader had research on several relics of Hyrule. Roll credits. And he knew things no mortal should know. Faror's pearl is a good start, but something is missing. She stood a while and thought. There's been an awakening. These relics are emerging after thousands of years asleep. There must be a reason. She took to studying the pearl, and I thought about her words. She spoke of goddesses of a dead kingdom. I decided that if Ganon was only an avatar, I should pledge myself to his master. I began to pray to Din, and my prayers helped me endure the torture and bloodletting. I knew that if I died, I would die revering a forgotten deity ignored by the people of the present. If I escaped, I pledged to find her shrine if it existed, and live only to serve her. My opportunity came when Vivian was defeated and Pharaoh's Pearl was taken from the cult headquarters. I fled and gathered what little provisions I could. I cleaned robes of the Mark of Ganon and prayed for guidance to Din's shrine. After a long journey, I found a solitary door deep within the reach and entered. I felt warmth and light and beheld a great statue bearing an eternally burning flame. I fell to my knees and swore myself to Din, goddess of power. May there come a day I hear her voice. Okay, that's Helgraf's journal. I'm really proud of that journal, actually. That's one of my favorite lore books in the mod. I will have to save this one for next time. This one's a little long. This one's kind of long. This is the last little bit of the Cult of Ganon. Oh, man. Yeah, I'll have to... So I normally stop at 9. And my voice is leaving me. So, I'll leave it at Helgraf's journal. And next time we do Relics of Hyrule Storytime, I will read this one first. It is well past the end of the stream, so I'm gonna call it there, and I'll see everybody next time. That's really creepy, seeing her eyes glowing in the dark. Well, actually, let's see, because, okay, I might actually have some more time. No, I don't have it in me. Alright, I'll call it here. I'll save this one over one of these. I'll just save a new one. I will definitely do another one of these in March. I think I'm not even going to do a vote. Oh no! I might have time. Okay, I keep going back and forth on it. I can read one more. I think I have one more in me. I will read Discussion on Power. Because my wife is taking a bath. So I think I can do one more. So, if anyone is still in the chat, stick around, because I'm going to read a Discussion on Power. And I'll definitely do another Relics of Hyrule Storytime in March. What is your question on lore before I read a Discussion of Power? I'll look up this quote really quick. Oh, yes. So this quote is by Erin Morgenstern. Erin Morgenstern is my wife's favorite author. This is from one of her books. I believe it's Starless Sea. Oh no, it's Night Circus. It's It's my wife's favorite book. So I'll start reading this, and it should only take a few minutes. Okay. Secrets have power, and that power diminishes when they are shared, so they are best kept and kept well. A single vampire slaughtered my followers and desecrated the home of the cult of Ganon. I was fortunate to escape, and my wits have returned to me. The cult would have died with me. I have lost everything but my knowledge and skills, and have taken refuge on a deserted, remote island. I eat when I hunger, drink when I thirst, and if my research permits it. So we're going to hold that thought. Because the Island of the Damned is where he is. Interestingly, I actually talked about that question, whether let the past die, kill it if you have to. If that's a connection between like the Thalmor and Mehrunes Dagon. It's not intended as a connection between the Thalmor and Mehrunes Dagon, but it's a good headcanon, and I'm not opposed to it at all, because it makes sense, because Ganon says that he ravaged the Somerset Isles, and then he went to Skyrim, so his ravaging of the Somerset Isles may have clued the Thalmor into the relics of Hyrule, and it may have influenced them in some way. So the fact that they sign their orders like that, I'm not going to make it explicit, but it's a nice implication. So this is the area that the guy fled to, the leader. There he is, Vanderlum. His hair's supposed to be gray, and his robes are Goron robes. So he's completely, he doesn't understand a thing. And this is where discussion on power can be found. He also has the red page. Okay. Okay, so we read that first one. I have obtained another relic of Hyrule. Roll credits. I detect a similar sort of magic to the pearl, but darker. This new relic must be the key. While toiling with the relic, attempting to learn its secrets and harness its power, I heard a knock at the door. 3 raps. I ignored it. Driftwood knocking against the island. A moment later, I heard it again. I ignored it, but it persisted. Frustrated, I went to the door and opened it. Standing at the door was a dog. It looked up at me expectantly. Go away, dog, I said. I have no scraps for you. Keep in mind, this is an island. A deserted island. Are you Gervas Vanderlum? The dog said. I am. Leave me alone, I sighed. I have work to do. You're not late, but this is the last lore book that I'm reading. Also, welcome. Thanks for coming to the stream, but this is the last one that I'm reading for tonight. I have work to do. The dog looked puzzled, as though it had expected me to say something else. My master would like to speak to you, it said. If you'd follow me, we could discuss your work. Go away, I said, and closed the door. The dog moved into the room and blocked the door from closing. Let me be more clear, it said. My master is very interested in your work. He wants to assist you. Why did he not come himself instead of sending a dog? I asked, my hand still on the door. My master has very little power at the moment, and can't make much contact very far from his shrine in Skyrim. Then your master is not worth my time, I said, attempting to force the door closed. My master can help you rebuild the cult of Ganon, the dog said. He can give you what you need to resurrect Ganon. I froze and looked at the dog. How do you know the name Ganon? I asked breathlessly. It's awfully cold out here. Let me in and we can talk, the dog said. I opened the door fully and the dog trotted into my study. Don't worry, I won't shake water all over your stuff. it said, sitting by the fire. I sat in my chair. How do you know about Ganon? I repeated. Now you're interested, the dog said with smiling eyes. My master has been intrigued by Ganon for a long time, but he never got a chance to speak to him, even when Hyrule was fading. Someone else got to Ganon first. Now, the question is, what do you know of Ganon? He was a powerful sorcerer and once ruled over the entire kingdom of Hyrule, I said. If he were to be resurrected, he could bring about a new world and overthrow the wretched empire that has held this continent in its grasp for far too long. Got away from yourself there, the dog said, looking away. You don't know as much as you think you know. You're doing this for selfish reasons, and I see no chance of Ganon appearing to you, for many reasons. I stood from my chair and shouted, What do you know, dog? I have toiled for years. How dare you insult my efforts? You dare tell me... The dog rose from its seated position somehow seemed much larger than it did before. Sit down, mortal, it growled. I fell back into my chair. The dog sat back and seemed to return to its normal size. Now then, it said, even if Ganon did come to you, what makes you think he would listen to you? He would be far more powerful than you. I would think that he would respect my abilities, or at least understand the depth of how far this world has fallen. Surely he would share some of his power. Ah, power. It's always power. Ganon is an avatar of power, blessed, some would say cursed, by an ancient goddess of power, the dog continued. No mere mortal could ever hope of giving him orders and expect him to follow them. If I am successful, I said, then it would not matter. Ganon would still bring about a new world. He would do so with bloodshed. Is that what you want? If that is what he wishes, so be it. The dog shook his head. Blood is inconsequential. Death is highly overrated. Like you, Ganon had a narrow-minded, destructive view of power, the dog explained. Is it power to kill a man, or is it power to let him free? The measure of a man is what he does with power. You speak nonsense, dog, I said. Why have power if you don't use it? Why rise to such heights only to stagnate? Those under you would not know your power. They wouldn't need to. Power is not the ability to do harm. Power is not the ability to threaten or intimidate. There is more to power than coercion and control. Power is the ability to do or act. It is influence, strength, force. Ganon was corrupt and used his power to destroy, but power itself is not corrupt and does not corrupt. Fear corrupts. But I digress. I am not here to debate philosophy. You've been doing most of the talking, dog, I said. I have not changed my mind. I do not need help from you or your master. I work alone. And your entire cult has been destroyed. You had power and you wasted it. Tell me, did your followers listen to you when you gave orders? Get out, dog, I said, rising to my feet. I'm tired of this. My name is Barbas, and my master is Clavicus Vile, Daedric Prince of Wishes. He is very interested in the Triforce, especially the Triforce of Power, and he sees you as a means to get it. Clavicus Vile, as you said, is weak. I do not see how he could help me. Only Ganon is worthy of the Triforce of Power. You would get along with my master. He's stubborn and self-serving too. Then again, maybe not. It's tragic because your cult was clearly running itself. You were a figurehead and nothing more. I'm leaving now, so don't get too upset. Just remember, the offer still stands. If you want help rebuilding your cult, if you want power, my master will help you. He has a shrine in Hamar's Shame in Skyrim. If you decide to come, I'll be waiting. The dog trotted to the door, stood on its hind legs, and opened the door with its paws before dropping to all fours and leaving. I went to the door to close it, but the dog had vanished. I slammed the door behind it. Good riddance. I do not need help, nor do I want it. The cult of Ganon suffered with too many small-minded fools telling me what to do. I will work alone, and I will thrive. Okay. So that's Barbas, messenger of Clavicus Vile. That's Clavicus Vile's inclusion in the lore. There's some references in here to Schindler's List. And there's some other quotes as well. But, unfortunately, that's going to have to be the end of the stream. It's funny that, it's a talking dog, and Vanderlum is more offended than surprised. Anyway, I'm also very happy with that lore book. But that's the end of the stream. already gone too long. Thanks for everybody for coming. And yeah, Vanderlum's not having a great time. Fun fact, Vanderlum comes from a bunch of books that I wrote as a kid. Like, the big bad guy in all the little silly books I wrote as a kid was Vanderlum, so I had to weave him in. But yeah, anyway, that's gonna be the end of the stream. Thanks everybody for coming. I'll be streaming again next Monday. I'm gonna rest my voice, and we'll see you next time. Good night, and be sure to drink your Ovaltine.